Hello. Today is August 25th, 2020, at least today when I'm reading to you. And tomorrow, yours truly, David Almalek Wolinsky, Grandpa David, Grandpa White Boy, will be 73 years old. Sometime during 2020, after that, the really good people at Dos Madres Press will publish my second book. And you might be one of those rare people who've actually heard me read from my first book on YouTube. In which case, I congratulate you or commiserate, as the case may be. The name of the book is Llanto, Tonto. I am not really a Spanish speaker, but it means, the polite, poetic way to translate it would be foolish lament. Although you could go all the way to the other side and call it stupid complaint. Because it is a book that is full of sadnesses and broken-hearted stuff. Lost loves, found loves. And partially for that reason, I'm going to read you first a little paragraph which is the beginning of the awful author preface in the book, which already exists in mock-up. Public figures give speeches in which they are humbled by this or that. Yours truly, though, was hammered to the floor when he realized that of all his work, this was the wrong book for these times. Yes, these are plague times in the middle of about 4 or 5 different systemic crises of racism, economics, etc., etc., etc. So this might be a diversion for you, or this might not, but it does touch a little bit on these things. And one of my many unpublished books, Vol.II, this is Vol.III, does. That is called the Auschwitz Cookbook. However, in this book, part 1 is titled I Lasso Me, which is the name of a very famous song if you happen to listen to any songs at all that were written in the 1400s. And it is a medieval lament written to a beautiful woman or girl, a red rose of a girl, O Rosa Bella, who has broken the guy's heart, I believe, if I remember right. However, the first poem I'm going to read to you today starts off with the title and the little epigraph from a much more recent song and our friend Al Green. The letter. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Al Green. Oh dear, another letter from someone you do not know to someone I do not know, delivered by dubious service, causing approximately 3.14 persons to be nervous. Is that proportional? Is that fair? Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover in the smoke and filthy air. Oh dear, not mine, Shakespeare's letters, his artifice. I wrote to her only, please read this. You know the rest. No rest, like some night in Keats or Poe. Some parched, sad place to go with someone, well, you know, someone you do not know. Here are 2 more complaints or laments. 3 more, actually. The first 2 are short, and the third one is, as you will see, another kind of letter. Okay? Song. She's in and out of his mind like the ballad in an old man's dream. He would have to be deaf and blind to miss it, whatever it means. Out of his mind. Resting a while here, he will travel again a waste in the company of love and fear. The wind runs before, rain streams down his face. The wind with its wordless song, the rain and its wet kiss. She will not listen long to the pitter-patter or this. Weather for A. Dancing in the dark, puking in the park, I never knew, chasing memory of you, how little I would lark. Chasing, chased, by delusion pursued, nor for sure how nearly erased. Now displaced, plainly defaced, unembraced, I wander the limber lost without regret. It's just, I do not forget. Storm of ashes, blind worm, startling spark. And here comes another letter. This one is called Open Source Love Letter. The apparent author is a little bit older than, or a lot older than the author of those two short ones you just heard. However, they were really written only a few years apart. That's just what we unscrupulous poets do. Open Source Love Letter. Darling person, you would not, I think, be too shocked to see after all these years how I've gone to seed. And you won't in any case see me. I do know this in a formal way, not quite unreal as realizing we do not live forever. But if I was a carpenter, I would try to remember that this is only a song. And if I were a moonshiner who couldn't tell elixir from he licks her, you can guess where that would get them, or me. Or maybe you can't. Better the devil, you know. Our deal went down without Bob Dylan, or Bob Moses, or Hajidakis, or Khani, or Susan. Nobody's home, sang the voicemail. It's over. But I babbled on ardently, Babylon and the Forest of Arden on fire. Are poets liars? Outliers? Outcasts? Doubtful lovers, part-timers, rogue rhymers, all of the goddamn abovers? I would say, don't be ridiculous, except it is. Like when he wished the girl on the train would move over so he could sit next to her. He hoped, moped like a Bronx teenager, all flowery and rattletrap, until he falls asleep and doesn't know it when the clattering deserted train rattles to the last stop. Well, so much for 70-something teenagers. And the next poem, I don't know if you want to consider it comic relief. I do, but I have an odd sense of humor. In any case, I'm going to try something that I haven't done before, which is that I am going for most of the next dozen or so, mostly short poems that I'm going to read. Wait till we get to part two. Those are the real quickies. I'm going to put on the screen some very pretty graphic I made of the poem, of course. The first one is, if you happen to have read the first book, one of those improper nouns, in other words, somebody's name. James's Song. My name is James. They call me Jimmy Shit for Brains. I do not wear it proudly, neither am I ashamed. Each, it is said, becomes what he makes, no matter if waste or dust, and gives back at last what he takes, as all must. James may now be beggared, however he defend, coffee creamed and sugared, or buggered in the end. Despise him not. Thrust your hands in the dirt. The certain hurt will neither maim nor mend, but bears familiar name, James, alone, unspoken, no one's friend. Ultimatum. You better do something. You better come up with something. You better something. Come on, hurry up. Time's running out the window. Time's flying out the door. Someone kicks you to the floor. Want some more? Better something or other. Something, or else. The next poem takes us out into the world and history, or at least it claims to, because the title is Today in History. Where was I today? What did I do? The dishes got done. The laundry was streaked with blue. A Swede saw a city in a cloud. The mailman cursed aloud. Mail was outlawed. Swedes who kept watch in Sweden saw Vol.III arrested in his garden, caught with his pants down. 1,000,000 women marched, a few of whom were men. I was one of them. Was rain and camaraderie? It was not today. At homely Bible study, Jason proposed that we were friends of a single mind, as apostles came to be. Did unbeliever I believe my gentle friend? It didn't matter. I knew where I was for a minute then, which was not today. Where I was today, I cannot say. And no, I wrote that poem a few years ago, or at least a year ago, before there was any idea that some idiots were going to mess with the mail system in an attempt to slow down or discourage people from voting during plague time. So I guess I was a little bit prophetic, or not. He was not the only poet to have drifted into your orbit, not in most senses or even senselessly intimate, but, like Pluto now, undiscovered, less than a planet, some distant chunk of ice consigned by cold astronomers to categorical darkness. He was a friend of mine, Jerry was, unto others too, but to those Krishnas, unmanageable, devotee, later unnoticed, casualty, collateral homage. I too did not see the end of that rope. Jai Shri, Jerry. Part 2 of Llanto Tonto is called 41 Etudes and Bagatelles, Opus 69. It's a very musical section heading. The poems, as especially Bagatelle might indicate, are short, some maybe even only 4 or 5 lines, most of them about 10 lines, and why I gave them such a florid musical title, God only knows, except I'm not thinking about it that way, or believing. I'm just going to hit you now with 4 of these poems in a row with the accompanying text. In that case, a preface. In that case, I would have said something reasonable sounding after you had spoken your part. No permutation of misfortune, however, could have changed that which, in the event, was not. In its place a hard case, and no place for the likes of me, but yes, I up and went there. I would like now to voice something reasonable about this, that, or maybe another thing, but in any case, stubborn alien, I do not. In which case, nonetheless and not revelation, you are free to ignore me, but not free. The Nutcracker. Springs are loose like a wild goose. Wires are gangly like a boy. Though digital wizardry traces the face, it seems an unsprocketed toy. What is it? What is it? We'd like to know. Your loud, sputtering cry. And so, my dears, would I, but I'm lost and a ghost at the Christmas show, like a partridge in a pear pie. The Misanthrope. He's a moron. She's a moron. I am lonely, drinking boron. She's a psycho. He's a narco. I am lonely and loco. He narcissist, she masochist. I lonely and won't be missed, who was born on a far planet. No one believes it, not even you. Everyone knows it is true. Born there under a bad sign, I never met a stop sign I could abide, or vice versa. Then which is worser, your shit or mine? Is there any damn thing I could ever abide? Words, words, words. The answer is words we agree to deride. As you may be able to see, the last of this grouping has the glorious title Shamble Fish. Shamble Fish sits on the floor like locks on a dish, and they call him Shamble Fish. Walks out the door, almost never, is running a low-grade fever, And yes, he forgets to wash sometimes. Shamble fish, shamefaced fish, like a forlorn demon's forlorn wish, never to shiver and flash, just shamble, stumble, flounder, and sometimes a muffled crash. I tend to plod along, and I'm trying to pick up the pace a little bit. You may already be able to tell from what you see that this next poem is even more nonsensical than my slippery little fish. It's called Nun Drum Number 1. Was it chaos? Well, down the well fell Alice toward none, no charity at all. Rabbit, 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 wholesome parts. Yes, 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 that rabbit. Yet rabid. PG-13, Wonderland, the movie, beta, or better not, but butterfly net worth it. Safety, pin, net, not, cloud sourced, for sure, for sore. Unearth it, uphole it. It? Well, very well indeed. In thought so. And this classic poem bears the classic title WTF. What? I die? And you? Uncle Murphy? Cousin Sue? The FedEx person too? WTF, GHI, JKLMNOP, QRSUV, XYZ. I took too long, you say, to reach the end. Too soon, too very soon, my friend. And now for an advertisement or two. Don't you just hate it when YouTube or somebody throws all those ads in just to get you to buy their premium service without the ads? Well, I'm not going to get any money from this. It's a labor of love. I'm a poet. What do you expect? So here we go. Dos Madres Press is a nonprofit publisher. www.dosmadres.com. You can get my first book from them, which is called The Crane is Flying. You can get the new book from them sometime later this year, or rather sometime in either the summer or fall of 2020. But beyond that, you can also be reading this while I am blabbering and see that Robert and Elizabeth Murphy, theirs is the real labor of love. And Dos Madres is the publisher for a very long time of the works of Henry Weinfeld. And here you see a photograph of my very own copy of his Without Mythologies new and selected poems and translations. Yes, Henry is a longtime friend, and in fact, here is a poem in my book, which is a little poem to Henry, because Without Mythologies has always been a very interesting conundrum for me. The poem is called Henry. How he arrived without mythologies, I never will know. No, not thinking fast, not fever slow. I fell to my knees in the driving snow and waited for whirlwind to flag to a breeze, for demons to eulogize Poe. It was hours and years before I could rise. But I swear to you all by Sam Hall's damned eyes, ages must pass before I may go. And here at the end we see my dubious face again, and we hear two poems which are indeed the end of the book. One a little bit long and bouncy, and the other one extremely short, and both of them about insects. Ready for that? Here we go. The Grasshopper. Hop, hop, I can't stop. Oh, this is so silly, wobbly earth, world elsewhere, but I just jump and run, jump in the sun, and sometimes over the lonely moon. If there is, I mean, nothing jumpin', how is anything known? It's an ill wind that is not blown. What mean to remain? Jump, jump. I am no chump, but I have dreamed of the fabled ant, home-schooled and lone-schooled, how he granular moves in a love-shine of sun. But I, because I could not stop for winter, for a prairie fire, for the high hawk, they kindly swooped for me. They were he, she, this, that, and the other thing I was going to tell you after I could smell you, but it got forgotten, and then I think I was eaten. Help, help, stop. Minute Waltz number 2. Well, was he or who or I writing something or fighting something? Were we working elusive sound or just fucking around? Jiminy Cricket. Jiminy Cricket, the kittens killed it, or him, as your case may be, pink they, in tooth and claw. I say no more.